Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Married in Business. Today, we're going to be talking about getting ready for success and for growth and being prepared for those things.
Yeah, a lot of times people want to start a business and they want to immediately be successful. I think in this day and age, everyone is working on, or we're so used to instant fulfillment. You buy something and it's delivered the next day. You want to watch a movie, you go online, you get it instantly. A lot in this day and age, people are so used to not having to wait for things. Um, I mean, just for us, my generation, you think about what we had to wait for. You had to wait on, if you wanted to watch a movie, you had to either wait for it to come out in the theater, or you had to drive across town and rent a video, or something. You had a Blockbuster, or however it was.
Find it in the store.
I remember, even shipping back then, it was all mail order. So you got the catalog, you had to pick out what you wanted, mail in the order form, and then a month later, you got what you ordered. So that's all rapidly changed now, as we all know, with Amazon and all the different shippers now. You're providing stuff instantly almost.
Yeah, and Amazon has the buy now with the one click.
Yeah. But when it comes to building a business, it is you got to be patient, and you got to build things and put the building blocks in place to be successful and set yourself up for success. When you look at everything on a calendar, you could say, oh man, I started here. And, for our story, we started in 2015, and in 2019 we had 20 trucks. And yeah, that seems fast, but man, in the moment of things, and everything's moving so slow. And so you got to really be, one, you got to be patient, and two, you got to do the right things to set yourself up for success. So we wanted to talk a little bit about that today, and how you go about setting yourself up for success and planning out kind of how you want your future to go, as a business or in your career, how that might look. So
one thing you have to think about is having employees in place. We talk about having trucks ready to go, but you have to have employees in place. If you're running at max capacity, you're not going to be able to bring on anything new, including new business. So one thing we did was, when we've been hiring, we hire and we plan for that growth. So we hired an administrative assistant, and we gradually, brought her on, taught her parts of the business. And now, as we're doing new things, which Kyle will talk about, we have her already able to take on more things. So having people in place is also really key to growing your business.
Yeah, the people, and like, for example, our manager has been with us for almost the beginning. At the time we hired him, I didn't really have a spot for him. I didn't. Well,
as a manager,
yeah,
he was a driver.
I could have made him a manager, but at the time we couldn't really afford it. But he was somebody that I knew if we didn't hire, then he wasn't going to come. He wasn't going to last long. He'd have moved on to something else. And he was somebody that fit in well with my management style, the way I like to do things, and he also fit in with the company. And so for that, man, we saw a person, and I was like, hey, this guy can help us out for growing long term. He matches me, he matches the company. We made it happen. For me, that actually looked like, at the time, I was working a second job while getting the company on footing. But I knew that I had that manager, and he's grown now from managing 5 trucks and about 7 or 8 employees to now he's helping us manage the fleet of almost 30 vehicles. And so he's grown into that role. But at the time, I identified that person as, hey, I need this guy in place, and I need this position in place for us to be able to grow. And so tying that back to employees, that's really big. And as an owner, and the owners really need to be looking at the strategic side of things. If that's something they want to work on, you can't be in the day-to-day weeds. So you got to have those people that can handle those administrative tasks and even the middle manager type tasks for your business if you're really going to grow.
Working on the business instead of just in the business is so key these days, because if you're looking to grow, the people up at the top need to be the ones looking at how you're going to do that. And then the people that are supporting those roles need to be the ones executing the day-to-day, so they can keep going with what we already have.
As you look at, putting your people in place, things too, think about one thing. Every person has a finite amount of decision-making ability in a given day or a given time frame, whatever that is. And you can literally wear yourself out by making menial decisions or administrative decisions that can be delegated to someone else. And what I mean about that is, Steve Jobs is probably an extreme example of
With his
this.
outfits,
Yeah,
I love that
but
story.
literally, one of the reasons he made those, he wore the same outfit every day or bought the same outfit, is that eliminated decisions you have to make. I mean, you can even waste time and brain power on what to wear, what to eat, what to do every day. Um, those types of things, and it's really minimizing that, so you have that bandwidth available to make the big decisions when you're thinking strategy, um, all those different things. It's a thing. People really don't think about that type of stuff when they're planning out their business and different things. But it's really easy to allow yourself to stay in the weeds and get in the weeds as a business owner because you want to have that tight control over everything. Whereas you're not really setting yourself up for growth if you don't have people in place that can handle those tasks that would free you up to do other bigger things for the business. So um, a lot of that probably goes down to the debate on CEOs and do they deserve the money they get, and I would say absolutely, because you don't understand people. A lot of people don't understand what it takes to make the decisions at a top level, and you
Wears us
gotta,
out.
yeah, it can wear you out. There's a lot of research, a lot of thought that goes into it. It's mentally challenging, because you're making decisions for a company, and not just that, but the livelihood of the company, and then the livelihood of the employees. You have that, all those things are in the back of your mind. I've got the responsibility to take care of these things for the company and the employees. You want to be able to make the right decisions when you can. So
Yeah, we even kind of have a turn off work rule. We're married. It's been over 13 years now. It's felt like that long sometimes.
yeah,
But after dinner time, we try to really just unplug. We hang out. We spend time as a family, whatever that looks like. But, you know, you have to, as a married couple as well, invest in your relationship and not just work all the time. I have other friends that do that too, that have
yeah.
businesses. So now we want to change gears a little bit about having things in place that you need to grow.
Yeah, one thing really to grow is you got to have a plan. You got to kind of at least have an idea. You may not necessarily have to have it on paper or things, but it'll help. But having something out there is, where do you really want to be as a company in a year, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years? And you got to think about what you want to do, because if you don't have a vision, at least that you can communicate to people as to where you want to be, it's really hard to make decisions to grow because you're not really sure where you want to be. And you got to make really decisions on what your company wants to do versus what it doesn't want to do. For example, for us in trucking, we started out as FedEx contractors, and so at the time what that
With three
entailed,
trucks.
yeah, at the time what that entailed though was servicing FedEx for the runs that they offered us, for the work that they offered us, and making that happen. And that was easy enough. But then we grew. As
And
we
the market
grew and the
changed.
market changed, we found ourselves exposed there. And I found us, okay, we got to, because with the structure of our contract with FedEx, and when the market changed, it left us in a bad position. And so we were like, okay, we got to change the focus of our company now. And again, right then, we made a change. We made a change in focus, and then we executed that change in focus. And now, with our new companies, we're out of FedEx and into this new venture with UFL Services. We made a big decision knowing what we used to know about, you know, running nationwide, running teams versus solos, the type of work that we went after. And we made the decision to change. Okay, we're going to be solo regional, and we're going to um, stay in our area. We only run now about 400 miles radius of Atlanta. And there's a few things that factored in that decision. And so that's what's very important to know about your employees, your customers, who you're going to serve, and how that works. And the reason we made that decision to stay regional is we have drivers that want to be home more frequently. So going back, you have to make the decision for where you're going to be as you get more established and you kind of know where you want to go as a business, because you may not know right away. If you're starting out, it may be hard to, you haven't narrowed your focus enough. You haven't, you haven't learned a lot of stuff that you might need to learn before you can make really some big long-term, strategy or focus decisions for your business. But once you have that in place, understand your employees, your customers, and what you actually need to make that business work. Now you can make those focus decisions. And we did that this past year in figuring out what we want to do as far as our customers. And we really kind of have two customers in the trucking business. You've got the people you actually perform deliveries for and move things for. And then drivers, because they're such an integral part of your company, they're also a customer in a sense.
You got to
Because
keep them happy, right?
yeah, you got to do things to keep them happy, because we're in a business that if the truck's not moving, we're not generating revenue. And they have to have a driver in that seat to generate revenue. So we did things, we positioned our company to where we're trying to have work that caters to a favorable driver schedule. And so that's a decision, that's an example of a type of decision you have to make with your business on how you position it, how you position your customers, how you serve your markets, because that's a very important part to be able to grow. If you don't have that focus, you're going to have trouble either hiring people, finding customers, and just moving forward and growing as a company.
So we've talked a little bit about the driver market, but just a little bit of a recap. You have younger drivers coming in. You have a new generation of drivers coming in. They're technology savvy, but they also have families. They have things going on a Friday night, on a Saturday night. So having a business like we have now where we can focus on solo regional work, and after COVID, they didn't want to drive with anybody else. So that's one reason why we pivoted our whole business model.
Yeah. So kind of to summarize that and put it into more general terms for everybody, have a plan, be ready for growth, and know what you want to do. But you got to understand your business, understand your employees, understand your customers, and understand the market you're in to really make those long-term decisions and make a plan of how to get to where you want to be. And then now, once you have that plan in place, then you can go execute the pieces to get there. And some of those plans and examples of things you might put in the plan too is customers you want to serve, markets you want to serve, and then have revenue and profit targets. You can't, I've always heard people say, oh, I'm going to, it'd be nice to own a Subway, for example. Just an example.
Keep fresh, Kyle.
But, is it going to take is one Subway enough to make you a millionaire? No, it's not. You're not going to make that. Now, if you had 20 of them, same thing goes for trucks. 3 trucks isn't necessarily going to may not make your goal. But if you say, hey, I got a target of, I want to make, $2 million in annual revenue, now you can back into that. Okay, how many trucks do I need? How many customers will I need to find to meet that revenue target? And you can start building once you have your goals and your markets in place that you understand. Then you can build out and grow. But you have to have targets of where you think you can get based off your research and planning out what you want your business to be. So we kind of talked about a lot of stuff about how to plan your business and set yourself up for success. But it's really important to have a plan and do things. You can't just jump in and say, hey, you see somebody else that's got a business like yours and say they're at a $10 million business. Man, it'd be great if I just had that one contract to get that $10 million business and I could just be making it, I'd be killing it. Well, the reality is you got to build it. You got to build the business, and you got to have a plan on how you get there. You can't just jump into a $10 million business if you don't have people, you don't know your market, you don't have employees, you don't have infrastructure, whatever it is. So you got to build that up, know the business, know your markets, know your employees, know your customers. Then you can put the building blocks in place to get to where you want to be. Otherwise, you'll probably have a business, you might flounder around and make a little bit of money, but it's not long term, it's not going to be successful. So you have to have a plan on where you're going to go or where you want to go, and then you can put the pieces in place to get there.
Well, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed what you heard. We have a lot of great content coming for you. So if you like what you heard, like and subscribe so you can get all the new episodes. All right. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, guys. See you next time.